Hello, everybody. We are back for version 2 of Writers Uncut special episode today. This is our second ever evening video, which is kind of exciting because I like to think that we might get a different set of people listening today because they're not at work. And our special guest, Jennifer, is... I'm adding her. Hi, Abigail. Hey.
Hello.
So, version 2 of Writers Uncut today. I just lowered my chair. So,
You froze.
oh no, you're freezing. Wait,
Oh,
are you
there we
back?
go.
Are you
Okay.
back? There you go.
Okay.
So, how are you? How was your day?
Busy. To the north side of town and
You
back
froze
and
again. No, come back.
oh no. Okay, am I back?
Yes, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Okay. I don't know what the
Okay,
deal is.
so, well, do you have AT&T?
Oh
Because I
no.
love complaining about AT&T.
We have AT&T. So, yeah.
We switched to AT&T. You've probably heard me say it. We switched like 3 or 4 months ago, and I hate it. It makes me so mad. So, but I connect to the Wi-Fi at my house, so my phone will work when I'm here, but not when I'm anywhere else.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so for anyone watching, we are Writers Uncut Special Edition.
so
I normally
sorry.
do this with Deirdre Hall, but today we have Jennifer Akers as our special guest. And we are going to talk about writing and publishing and just all writing related sorts of stuff. So if you have any questions, just pop them in the comment box and we will answer them. And today I was watching another live video and they had like a message down here. Like apparently if I type a message, I can make it stay so everyone will see it. And I was
But
like,
they
that's
had
really
what?
cool.
Sorry, you froze for a second.
Like apparently I can type a message.
Oh, huh?
And it will stay so everyone that joins us will see it.
Let me switch to data and see
but
if
I don't
that
know
fixes
how.
this.
So. Can you see me okay? Hello? You're frozen? No. Okay, now you're back.
Okay, there we go. I think it was switching from the Wi-Fi to data.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Let's just do data. It'll be better.
Well, you're clearer, too. I can see you clearer, so.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, something must be going on with the Wi-Fi over here because normally it's fine. But I've done live videos with the data before, so it'll probably just be smoother this way.
Right. So, well, with mine, my phone signal sucks, but my Wi-Fi is amazing, so I'm always connected to it. But anyway, so we have just started off with hi, Alicia. Hi, everyone that's joined us. If you have any writing or publishing related questions or any fun questions, just ask them and we will answer them. To start off, we have a very important question. It's probably the most important question we'll ever get asked. Deirdre asked it, and she said, "How are we so awesome?" So
it's a lot of hard work and training, and there's a vitamin for it.
There is a vitamin, vitamin coffee.
Yes.
And it just comes naturally to me, Deirdre. Like, it's just how I am. But that was actually the only question I got over the break. So.
Yeah, I didn't get any either.
Nobody watches my Instagram stories. But anyway.
Everybody gets it like mine on the tail end, like right before it deletes.
Yes.
So
well, we've had that.
I'll see tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's like right when we're getting ready to end for the day, like 5 people will join, and we're like, no. But so I'm trying to remember what we were talking about when we had to get cut off, which was so funny because the fence guy showed up. So my fence is getting fixed, which is exciting. But anyway, so what were we talking about? Because you were talking about something, and I don't know.
We were talking about libraries and how awesome they are. We were talking about, let me think. Oh, gosh.
I think it might have had something to do with the book you're working on.
Oh, we were talking about YA and how the difference between kind of the tonal shift between YA and new adult, and how those have played into our lives, that sort of thing. I'm trying to remember exactly what we were talking about.
I might think of it because you were saying something that was really interesting, and then I had to go. But we can come back to it. So Abigail asked, any tips for working on multiple books at once? Oh man. So I usually tend to work on 2 books at once a lot, but I'm not actually writing 2 books at once. I'm writing 1 book and then I'm planning another book off to the side. And because there's a lot of planning that goes into it, like spending, I don't know, hours and hours on Pinterest and hours on baby name websites trying to come up with names for my characters and, that kind of stuff. So what I do when I'm working on 2 books, it's so weird because I feel like my brain's very compartmentalized. I have room to write a bunch of words every day, and then I have room to think about, or it's like once I reach my word limit for the day on, say, the book 1 that I'm writing, my brain's like, okay, I'm pooped. I'm not writing anything else for the rest of the day. But guess what? I've got hours of creative energy for brainstorming and outlining, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I work on 2 books. I'm never actually writing 2 books at once. I don't think I've ever done that. But I'm usually writing a book and then plotting another book on the side. So because a lot of times my books will take a few weeks of, outlining and thinking about them and research and stuff. So I always tend to do that in the afternoons because I get my best writing done in the morning. So that's the most of doing multiple books at once that I've done. Have you ever written 2 books at once?
I have, and a lot of it's kind of like what you were saying. It's that they're either at different phases in their writing process. So one's editing and one's writing, or one's brainstorming and one's editing, having one in different sections of the writing phase. Another way I've done it is having very different genres. So I like a big sandbox. I like playing in lots of different genres. And so if I'm working on something that's fantasy and I want to, work on something else as well, then I'll try to do something that's more like contemporary. So it's very different, and there's no way that I could cross those wires in my brain at the same time, because especially I've had where if I worked on 2 projects that were too similar, either in tone or, in type of story, that sort of thing, then they'll tend to kind of bleed into each other, and then I'll forget which story was going which direction, and that just ends up bad. So
Right. I mean, sometimes I can do that with 1 book. I had one time, and this was back when I kind of first started writing. I hadn't written very many books. I had a friend reading a rough draft, and she was like, this person's mom's name changes like 4 times throughout the book. And then like halfway through the book, the mom's original first name became the name for another character that was thrown in. I was like, oh. So that was like one of the ways I realized I really need to work from an outline, and I need to focus and pay attention to what I'm writing, because back in those days I was a pantser. I started out as a pantser, and I would just write for fun every day and not really pay attention to what I was doing. And so total nightmare. So I think that's probably why I don't write 2 books at the same time. I can only work on different aspects. And you mentioned editing. I completely forgot. There have been times where I'm editing 1 book and writing another. And it's basically I edit until I want to cry, and then I would go write on the other book because it's always been more fun. So that's how I handle that.
It's like you can use one as the reward for the other one.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, another thing I was just thinking about is also if you want to work on like particular days, like if you write Monday through Friday, say do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of 1 book, and then Tuesday, Thursday of another book, or I'm sorry, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then Thursday, Friday, do the other book. So then you can have it a little more compartmentalized in your brain, because it's like you're only focusing on 1 story this day.
That is true.
That's another way you could do it.
And just planning things out like that really helps me a lot. I'm in love with my planner, and I don't post many pictures online because it's not as pretty as a lot of people's planners. Because like I have it right here. Like I'm not like it's not that pretty. I do have the pretty tape, but like
oh yeah, the washi.
But it's like I have found that if I like schedule out everything I need to get done and pick days for it, then I'm so much more like in tune to being able to do it. So I could see that being really beneficial. Like, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm working on this project because it's like your brain will just kind of shift over to it, which is how, because I said earlier in part one of this that I'm going to start writing my next book on March 22nd because in my head, I said, okay, so I'm going to do this and this and this, and by March 22nd, I'm going to be ready to start writing this book. So it's like I'm kind of gearing myself up. There's really no other reason other than the fact that, like, I know I'm going to be excited to dive into it once I reach March 22nd, which, Abigail, if you're still here, I was actually going to email you my synopsis and see if you wouldn't mind looking at it and telling me if it makes any sense, because I would love your opinion. And I'll probably send it to you too, Jennifer, because it's like,
oh, yes, please.
I have this little synopsis and I really like it. And I'm wondering, is this any good? I don't know. So before March 22nd, I'm going to get a few opinions on if I should start writing it.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's great.
This book is like, and I think that's why it's taken me so long to start writing it, is I'm just so nervous that it's not going to be any good. And it's not necessarily the book itself, it's my mentality. Like, because I'm coming out after Sasha was released, which I love that book to death. And it's like,
so did I.
So thank you. So it's like, can I write another, can I write a book I love as much as this? I don't know. So I feel like very, scared to start something new, which is funny because I have written a few other books since then, but it's like, I just, it's all in your head when you're a writer. It's like, I'm excited, but I'm terrified that the book's going to suck. So yes, I'm going to send it to both of y'all and see what you think.
I kind of wonder if it's kind of the same, like, I don't have kids, so I cannot compare at all. But like I keep hearing parents say that when they had like their second kid, they're like, oh my gosh, there's not enough love in me to have a second child and to love that child enough. And then when it comes, it's like, oh no, I totally got this. I got enough love for all of you. And it's like, this feels like that with books, as you're writing.
I only have one kid, so I don't have to share love. But yeah, I mean, because I do love all of my books. And I think with Sasha, it's more special to me because it was my first book with my agent and my first hardback book. So it's like, it means so much more to me. So now I feel really scared to try to follow it up with another book. So it's just,
I get that.
And I have one on submission right now too, which is terrifying. So
so lots of stressful stuff all at once.
Well, and stressful stuff and exciting stuff, because there's I don't know if I've told you, because I have some fun, exciting book news that it's coming down the line that I'm not allowed to talk about yet.
I've heard you tease about it. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like I'm not allowed to talk about it, and I honestly don't know when I will. I first found out about it around last Thanksgiving, and my agent said she had found out about it 6 weeks before. So
that's a long time to sit on good news.
Yeah, well, she had said, my editor told her like 6 weeks before, my editor said, I have some exciting news, but I can't tell you yet. So my agent's like, since I didn't know what the news was, I just didn't bother telling you. And I was like, thank you. I said, I could not have lived for 6 weeks not knowing. So then she did tell me, and I was like, but we can't say anything. It might even be like a very long time. So it's just so good. And it's so funny saying this. I know it might sound, very silly of me, but it's like when you have really exciting news that you can't talk about, that's also stressful. Because all I want to do is talk about it, and I can't. And and then at the same time, I've got a book on submission, which is ridiculously stressful because it's like, without a doubt, the rejections are going to start rolling in. Like, I don't know anybody who's had a book on submission where every publisher is like, yes, we want it. So it's like the rejections are going to start coming in. And so I'm stressing about that. And now I'm trying to write this new book, and I'm stressing about that. And then Sasha has now been out about 5 months, and I'm stressing about that because I was tweeting the other day, it's like, it's like after a few months, your book slowly winds down and nobody seems to care about it anymore. And it's like, hello, I'm still relevant. I'm still relevant. Please talk about my book, So it's just like, it's like, it's a lot. Being a writer is very stressful. And the happy, good things make it so worth it most of the time, I think. But yeah, it's like 99% stress. So
It's that roller coaster of like an amazing thing happens and then a whole lot of nothing happens and then an amazing thing happens and a whole lot of nothing.
But like right before the amazing thing happens, the roller coaster gets like stuck and you're stuck there for 24 hours with no food or bathroom breaks. Like that's what it feels like.
Oh my God. Yes, I feel that so much.
Yes. So Alicia said, I feel like it's a fab cover for spring. Oh yeah, like are you talking about my book
Yeah.
cover? Yes, because it's
With
flowery
the
and
flowers, yeah.
I love it so much. I've been wanting to get a tattoo of like some long stemmed wildflowers like that. I thought about just bringing in my book cover and seeing if my tattoo artist can think of something cute. I was thinking like maybe bringing all the flowers together in like a little bunch with a ribbon
Hmm.
tied around them or something.
Yeah. Oh,
But
or your little your bracelet, your wish bracelet tied around
tied
it.
around it, that would be so cute. So that's something I'm thinking about. But yeah, it's like, who has the time? Who has the time?
Yeah.
But
No, but I have to gush on about your book for a second. Like
okay,
we will
by
get
all
back
means,
to the
by all
rest of it,
means.
but that it hit me on such a personal level for a lot of reasons. One, the cover is beautiful, and it was very nostalgic for me because my sister and I used to pick the flowers that the little white flowers, with the white wildflowers that were on the front.
Hmm.
Those used to grow in our backyard at our first house, the house I grew up in, and I would pick those all the time. So it already like hit like a nostalgic
Aw.
button for me on that one. But then like the first chapter is like I think I didn't know a whole lot about the book going into it.
Hmm.
And so that first chapter, man, like whack your reader in the face.
Well, it's so like I've had people say, "Oh, it's a cancer book," and I get kind of offended. I'm like, "No, it's not a cancer book because she's
No.
dead on the first page. Like it's not a
Right.
person suffering through cancer book." So, in my
Mm,
opinion, it's not a cancer book, but people call it that. Um,
right.
but
Oh
yeah,
no,
so
it
that was
wasn't
my
at all.
favorite. That was my favorite to write. The first chapter and the epilogue was my
Hmm.
favorite. And this just goes to show that writing is such a unique experience because I'm one of those people that hate prologues and epilogues. Half the time I don't read them in books. I
Hmm.
always said I would never write them. I think they're stupid. And then when it came to this book, like it came to me that prologue, and I'm really trying to find it because I scribbled the prologue. When it came to me, I scribbled it on a scrap piece of paper, and then I set it aside for like months, forgot about it. And then when I decided I was going to write this book, and the prologue in the published book today is almost completely identical to the one I scribbled on a piece of paper. I think I changed like maybe 2 or 3 words, and I changed one of the characters' names because I had named them after a real person. So it was like such a powerful, the way the story just hit me. And I was like, well, I guess this book's going to have a prologue. And then I was like, well, you know what? It should probably have an epilogue too. And it's so funny to me because like I was like, I'm probably never going to write that again. I mean, you can never say never, but I don't
Sure.
even like prologues and epilogues. And here I am writing one. So every book is such a unique, different process. And
It's
I'm
so
really trying
true.
to find, I feel like I kept that paper somewhere. But here in my office,
Hmm.
I have like 2,000 notebooks that are scribbled in with notes. So I'm trying to find it. I don't know where it is because I think it'd be really cool to post a picture of it.
Oh yeah, you need to
But,
frame it if you find it.
right,
That would
right.
be
So
amazing.
it's got to be somewhere because I keep everything. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's every book is such a different process, and that book, and probably part of the reason I love it so much is I wrote it so fast. Like once I decided to write it, I wrote it in 27 days, and it's like, and I joke that it just wrote itself. I mean, it pretty much did. Like there was no writer's block, there was no problems. The whole book just wrote itself. And now I'm sitting here like,
It's that's the dream.
and it's like, why won't it happen again? Like, hello, new book idea. Like, I'm ready. I'm here. Like, I'm in front of the computer. Please write yourself. And no, it hasn't happened yet. So it's
Oh gosh.
every book is a different process completely.
Hmm. No, and I absolutely agree that it's not a cancer book. It's kind of like um, I was talking with someone about like diversity in books, and it's the difference between having like say a Latinx main character or a black main character or someone who's on the LGBT community, like having them as the main character or having a story about them being Latinx or black
Very
or
true. Right.
LGBT. And that was why it hit me so much because both of my parents over the last 2 years, both of my parents have fought through cancer. So the story being from the best friend's perspective and how close of a relationship they had, it was like reading about me and my mom going through that, and then me and my dad going through that. And so but it didn't feel like it was, we're going to go through the cancer process now. So here's where we're going to go to doing all of the little things. It's kind of like that would be more like The Fault in Our Stars, where you're going through the process. But this is really just her finding her life after.
Yeah, and that's because I didn't want to write the process at all. But I loved writing through the best friend, because we've had the books where the person's actually suffering and going through it. And I didn't want to write that. I wanted to write the best friend who's just kind of on the sidelines, and it's like, now I'm here, my best friend's gone, and what do I do? Side note, are your parents okay?
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. They're both good. My mom just rang the bell in January. So, because they had she had to wait 2 years because she actually had acute myeloid leukemia, so it was in like her blood and her bones, and
oh wow,
it had gotten bad. The doctors were plenty happy telling us a lot, like how she was about to die and we need to just prepare for that. But mom's a fighter, and she's awesome. So she rang the bell. She's been cancer free for 2 years. She's doing great. Dad's Amazing. They found early. And, they were able to just kind of go in, take it out, and he's got a clean bill of health too. So we are very blessed that we had a very happy ending to both of those stories.
For sure. Well, both of my parents have had cancer scares too. They had cancer, it was years ago now, and it was one of those kind of quick, easy fixes. I don't know if cancer is ever easy, but they both survived. But I lost 3 of my grandparents to cancer. But the thing I was really thinking about with this book is I had a friend in high school who passed away. I had 2 friends. One friend got lung cancer and she survived. And I put that in the book because my friend in real life she was wearing her beanie to school. And some biatch of a teacher was walking down the hallway and she was like, "There's no hats allowed in school." And she's ripped her hat off and she's like, "Oh, excuse me, I've got a hair condition or something. I've got a hat condition, something." It was some very cool, sarcastic comeback. And the teacher was like, "Oh, crap, yeah." So I believe I put that in the book, like a little brief mention of it. And then my friend Scott actually passed away when I was a junior in high school. And he had brain cancer. And I put this in the book as well because he had it in junior high and he had gone through remission and was in remission and he was fine. And then one day it's like this girl, this office aide walks into the classroom my teacher's teaching. She hands the teacher a piece of paper and she walks out and the teacher reads it and she's like, "Scott has lost his battle with cancer today." And I'm sitting there and I'm like, lost his battle? And it didn't, because I was like, he's okay, he's in remission, he's fine. And I was like, what does that even mean? Like, it didn't hit me at first that he had died because it was such a weird way to say it. Right. And I put that in there that I believe it was Zach that came and told her. He's like, "Yeah, it was really weird because they said she lost her battle with cancer, at the school." So those are the things I pulled from in real life. But yeah, I definitely did not want to write about the process of a main character going through it because that just would have been way too hard. I couldn't deal. But yeah, I love that book so much, and it's so hard to write everything after it, and the book that I have on submission is much more lighthearted, and ironically, it has a character in the hospital. So one of the main characters is in a coma for pretty much the whole book, and I was like, why can't I just keep my characters healthy and safe? But it's not.
Well, that would be a boring book.
Right. It's definitely not a tearjerker. So we're crossing our fingers that this book will sell and that you'll be able to read it one day. But now, so that book was, I had an okay time writing that. But this next one is just I'm having such a hard time. And it's funny because I do love the story. I love my characters and I'm just so scared. What if I can't write it as well as Sasha, So it's just, and it's so funny because you would think, and I actually asked Abigail this question. She did a live thing earlier. I asked, does it get easier or harder with each book that goes on? And she's like, harder. And I was like, yes, it gets so much harder to keep writing.
That's what I keep hearing, yeah.
And if you're an aspiring writer or a brand new writer, like I always tell people, like, cherish this moment, cherish this time, because the first book, like my first book, when I look back on it, and maybe I just have like rose colored lenses, but I really loved the process of writing my first book because I had no idea what I was doing and no idea what was going to happen and what was, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I was just so blissfully ignorant and I was just writing for fun and I loved it. And it took me 9 months and I worked on it almost every day after work and it still took me 9 months. And it was just like my little project and I loved it so much. And now when I'm writing, I'm just like, oh my gosh, why did I think this would be fun? You know? So, but yeah, we're writers, and writers just, we keep writing. It's in our brains. We can't help it. We have to keep writing, even though it's so hard. And I would way rather be doing like manual labor all day than writing.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. When I published On the Way to Simple, part of me wanted to get it out and get it written and get it done and fast because I was like, it's going to be so much easier after the first book. You know, I just have to rip off that Band-Aid and get that first book out and then they'll be good. And man, this second book is so much harder than writing the first one. And granted, it's like a different genre and, you know, different age demographic and things like that. But I've read in YA for a lot longer than I've read in NA. So theoretically, that should have been easier. But man, yeah, there's always that question of it. And it seems like it's such a singular thing because, like, if you know, bake a casserole for dinner, the next time you bake it, you don't think, well, I hope it's, you know, as good as the last casserole I made.
Well, okay. Theoretically, yes, that's a good metaphor, but you haven't seen me cook. I'm actually very bad at it. So
oh, no.
the chances of me being able to cook a casserole at twice the same time are very slim. But yeah, I really like where you're going with that. It's like, and I always say like building houses or something. Like, they're building a house from scratch. You kind of just follow the blueprints and, you know, the basic, however you build a house, I don't know. You just keep doing that over and over again and you've got your houses, or building a car or putting together a puzzle or whatever. But it's like, for books, every single time the process is completely different. And I have my Alpha Smart. It's not here, so I can't show it to you, but yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. The cool little keyboard thingy. And I wrote like several books at once on that Alpha Smart, and I said, this is the only way I can write my first drafts. It's such a great process. And then I had like the next book, I just couldn't do it. And I was like, this book is a laptop book. And so then I wrote that book on a laptop, and I was like, I don't know why. It was just like, you know what? This book feels like it needs to be written on a different type of technology. So they're all just so different. It's so funny. But I do heavily outline every single novel no matter what. Like, I don't see myself, again, I can never say never, but I don't see myself ever going back to just pantsing something because I know from experience it's a complete waste of time because I'll give the same character 4 different names. So like and my characters will just go off on fun adventures that don't lead to anything or do anything. They're just going to go to the mall and eat pizza, like, you know. So all my books have an outline, but every single process is just completely different. But that's fun. That's fun, I guess. Like, I guess it's fun because it keeps you creative and it's always a new adventure. But sometimes I wish there was just a stack of blueprints, like what a contractor would have. Like, here's your blueprints, go through each step and you've got a book, you know. But unfortunately,
let's go with like an IKEA book, so it's all got pictures. It's real simple.
How cool would that be? Just wander down the aisles and be like, okay, I need the young adult aisle and I want a contemporary. Okay, here's my book. Let me put it together. I saw this, it was around Christmas time at our RWA chapter Christmas party. This woman had an ornament, and you know those little letter beads? Oh, yeah. Like craft bead things? She had filled the ornament with these little letter beads, and the tag on it said, like, DIY novel, some assembly required or something. And I was like, oh, so cute.
That's fantastic. So I love it.
Next year for Christmas, I'm going to make a whole bunch of them for all my writer friends because it was just the cutest thing ever. But yes. Yeah. Oh, so if anybody watching has any questions, writing, publishing, you want to talk about Bob's Burgers, anything, I'd be happy to talk about it. I see your bookshelf behind you is so pretty.
Oh, thank you. That's here. I'm going to see if I can turn this a little bit without knocking everything over. We just moved, and so I got it reset up with all my books on there. I did the whole Marie Kondo and got rid of the
Yeah.
books that didn't bring me joy,
Hmm.
so it's just the books that bring me joy.
That's
'Cause
my stack right there. Those are the
yeah,
books that don't bring me joy, and they're sitting there because I haven't taken them to the Goodwill yet. But
yeah,
I've Marie Kondoed my entire house almost, except for
yeah.
my daughter's bedroom. I'm terrified to go in there.
Oh no.
I think she's kept everything she's ever had for her entire life.
Oh my gosh.
And I keep
See,
telling her, maybe over spring break, I keep telling her, we are going to Marie Kondo your room. But she's like, no. But anyway, but
oh my
having a
gosh.
teenager is actually great for Bookstagram because I
Yeah.
raided her room the other day and got a bunch of cool props to take all my Bookstagram pictures with.
Nice.
So, but the problem is I have to actually take those pictures now because I'm not good at it. Like I
Hmm.
have all these goals and dreams of taking Bookstagram photos, but I am not good at it. So maybe one of
Yeah.
these days.
It's one of those things that's kind of comes over time and you kind of figure out your style of how you like things. And I'll end up doing batch photos because I do not have time each day to find that perfect thing to take a
Right,
photo of. And
right.
especially if I want to post it in the morning, where it seems like most of my followers are on in the morning. So it's like, okay, well, I want to make sure it's up there first thing then. So I'll just do like on the weekend, I'll just like, okay, I need 7 photos for the next week. So I throw them all in there, kind of I completely destroy my office, like throwing
Right,
stuff
right.
around and trying to find props and things. Um, but yeah,
Well,
so
I
it's,
try, like, I have said that at least. I've said I should take a bunch of pictures at once and then I've got them throughout the month, and I don't. One of these days I will because one of my writer goals is to have a beautiful Instagram page. Because some writers have just like these phenomenal pages, and it's like, how?
yeah, it's
Like,
like, how do you have time?
yeah, well, how do you even have any light? I swear I live in a dungeon. Like, it's, I cannot find any brightly lit room in my whole
they,
house. And
they
there's
have
one
lighting
area,
kits.
and yeah, maybe I should do that because it's like I've got,
Hmm.
and then if you go outside, the sun's almost too bright, the pictures look weird.
Hmm.
It's like I can't, and I'm not a photographer. I don't know what I'm doing, but I do have these wild goals of having a beautiful Instagram page, and maybe I should just repost other people's pictures of my book because they're so beautiful. They do such an amazing job.
Oh
And it's like
yeah.
me, it's like here's some shadowy, blurry picture of my book and a dog. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh. See, but you knock the dog photos. It's like the best response I get on my Instagram photos is when I post pictures of my dog. Like,
That's true, and it was so funny because I make sure, and a lot of times, I'm guilty of scrolling through Instagram and being too lazy to double tap. And I try to
uh-huh.
go back and I'm like, no, I need to like everybody's post. You know what I mean? I want to be sociable. But every
Right.
time I see a dog, I will like it always, without a doubt, always, because I love dogs.
Yep.
And I do the same thing on Twitter. And I post a lot of pictures of my dog. I try not to be overwhelming with it because if it was up to me, there'd be 20 pictures a day of my dog on my Instagram feed. And she
Right.
has nothing to do with books.
It's
Except
hard
that
when they're
she,
so cute.
and I've tried really hard to, like when she's passed out asleep, prop my book up on her and like take a picture of it, and she always moves. It's like I swear when she sees my phone camera, she's like, "Nope, I'm gonna move now. I'm not gonna, sit still for you." So,
Oh my
um,
gosh. Yeah, mine too. It's like he knows when he's having his picture taken, and then he's
yes,
just like,
well,
nope, something
she'll be
else
doing the
now.
cutest thing, and as soon as I hold up my phone, she moves. And so sometimes I'll try to sneak, like I'll look this way and try to like sneakily hold my phone up to snap a picture of her. And yeah, and my daughter was offended because she was going through my phone the other day and she's like, okay, mom, there's like 90% pictures of the dog and like 1% pictures of me. And I was like, you're a teenager. What do I need pictures of you for? You stopped being cute a long time ago. This
But
dog is
you're
always cute.
you're grown. You look the same. Like,
But anyway, I should probably swing this back to writing related questions.
yes.
Or publishing stuff. If you have any questions for me, you can ask them. We talked earlier, and anyone watching, if you have any writing, publishing questions, let us know. Um, and Deirdre's not here tonight. I was hoping she'd be able to pop on the live, but she's super busy, so
Oh.
maybe not. But also, you can find us. This is technically Writers Uncut. It is a weekly Instagram live video that I do with Deirdre, and Jennifer is our guest today. And I've been saying, I think you should come over to my house since we both live in Houston, and then we can all three of us be on here together, which would be cool. But
Absolutely.
so yeah, we just talk about writing, publishing, whatever, and we put the episodes on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube and search for Writers Uncut, and then you can watch all the old episodes. Alicia said, "How do you make yourself write every day, or do you?" I can answer that really easily. I have to get the bills paid, so I because and I don't know if she's been able to watch our previous episodes, but I do a lot of freelance writing for money. So I don't just write novels. I actually only tend to write maybe 2 novels a year because I'm doing a bunch of freelance writing, like paid gigs, to get the bills paid. So that is how I make myself write every day, is I know that I'm going to be homeless if I don't. So it's but again, besides the fact that I need to pay the bills, it really is just a mental thing for me. And I'll have my planner, and every week, like every Sunday, I sit down and I plan out how much writing do I have to get done this week? And I write, I put it each day, I have to get X amount of words or X amount of whatever, like whatever I have to get done. And I swear it's very satisfying for me. If I put it in the planner and then I make sure, then it's like I have to do it. Once I've written it in the planner, it has to get done. And so that's my motivation. And I have a little routine. I wake up every day, send my kid to school, make a whole bunch of coffee, and come upstairs to my office and I work. And I'm usually done writing by around lunchtime. And so it's just become my routine. That's just how I do it. So, and then when it comes to writing, well, I feel like I don't really write for fun anymore because everything I write is for money. Because if I'm writing a book to send to my agent, I'm hoping that it gets published, right? So it's fun and I enjoy it, but I'm really writing for the ultimate goal of getting published. So when that happens, I am just really excited to wake up every day and write. It's just, I want to get the book done because I want to send it out into the world and see it become a real book. So that's my motivation. So do you write every day?
I don't, mainly because I tend to have like chronic pain issues, and so I'll do it.
So my face looks weird with the lighting, but ignore me.
Oh no, it's the glasses issue. I'm constantly like trying to find like the right spot to be in, so I'm not just
and my computer screen's on. So maybe back to that. It's kind of dark. Oh, well, anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
No worries. Yeah, so I tend to, like, I have migraines and things like that. And I'm also dealing with some, like, mental health issues, like generalized anxiety disorder and things like that, which I can, if I put myself into such a rigorous idea of I have to write every day, then I will use that to make myself incredibly anxious. So what I try to do is, instead of saying I have to write every day, it's saying I want this week to have written for this amount of time. And so instead of doing a word count, because sometimes the word count, one day I'll be flying and I'll do, thousands of words and it's no problem. And then some days I'm sitting there for an hour and I get like 200 words. So, but the thing is, I sat in the chair for an hour and I wrote for an hour. Right. So giving myself that credit of this amount of time, I want to write this amount of time during the week, then I can do some on certain days especially when I'm feeling better, or I don't have a migraine or that sort of thing. It's like I can build up some speed with that, and so that when I do have a day that I can't write, it's okay, and I don't use that to beat myself up and not continue on writing. I definitely love the idea of setting weekly goals instead of daily goals. Mm-hmm. And I feel you on that because that is true, because I do say that I pretty much write every day for the most part. But every now and then there is just a day, I call them, your mental health day. You're just like, you know what, I'm not ready. And I'm actually very lucky because I used to get very bad migraines. I have lupus, so every time I have a lupus flare up, which can last for sometimes a year, and then it fades away and I don't hear from it for a couple of years kind of thing, I'll have a ton of migraines. And so, yeah, when that was happening, nothing happens on migraine day. But I've actually been pretty good. Let me knock on wood really fast. I haven't had any in a while. But yeah, that is very true. Like, I do set my daily goals, but every now and then there's just an off day. And I've had to learn to tell myself it's okay to have an off day. Like, this is just an off day. It is what it is. And I'll write the word off on top of my planner,
and
Yeah.
move everything over. And it's like you just have to give yourself that permission. Like today, nothing's going to happen, and it's fine. So it's really important to recognize this because I have spent, and I'm sure you have too, so many days, so many times in my life, like sitting on the computer saying, no, I have to write. I'm supposed to write. It has to get done. And I know that I'm just not feeling it for whatever reason. And and even if you do force yourself to write on those days, it's not going to be quality work. So,
I've
allow
always deleted
yourself,
my stuff when I've
yes,
done that.
allow yourself an off day, and you got to take care of yourself, and you can bounce back in the morning. But I do like the idea of weekly goals. That's really cool. And I don't always do word goals. Sometimes I kind of want like a certain amount of words. I usually do like chapter goals or scene goals. Like I need to get one chapter a day or one scene or whatever, because for me, like I could be writing for 3 or 4 hours and I'm actually only adding 200 or 300 words because I took out a bunch or because I'm editing or I'm switching this around. So it's like all of that work still counts as writing and productivity. You're just not adding the word count. So I don't really usually set word goals. Sometimes if I'm doing like a freelance project where it's just got to get done, then, I will set a word goal. But your words don't matter so much as just getting the work done. And I really like your idea of weekly goals. I might start doing something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like then you can kind of get ahead one day, and if you have an off day, it doesn't matter. I like that.
It's kind of like going with, because I've done NaNoWriMo like 4 times, I think. Actually, On the Way to Simple was a Nano novel, and that I wrote it as a screenplay like a long time before that, and it changed a lot, and I was like, I'm just going to go pants this, but I had some of the elements from that screenplay that I had done like 3 or 4 years earlier. But I noticed like any day that I got behind on that, what is it, 1667 you have to do each day, every time I got a day behind, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to catch up. Like, and it would stress me out, and I couldn't get just today's done. So I would constantly want to try and add more words to each day or something. But then when I just added it up and said, okay, this week I need this many words, and I was like, oh, okay, because like on the weekend I can do more, and because I don't have the day job, and so it's a lot more flexible, and you can kind of fit it into your life a little easier.
Alicia said she lost the sound. I can hear you just fine.
I can hear you.
So it might just be your phone. You might have to close out and open it up. But with the NaNoWriMo, because I've been doing NaNoWriMo, gosh, I didn't do it the last couple of years because my schedule just didn't really work with it. But I've been doing it for like 13 or 14 years, pretty much since it started.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny, I always say that I credit NaNoWriMo with teaching me how to write fast, because the first few years I didn't win it. I didn't get the 50,000 words. But after I started getting 50,000 words, I realized how much faster I could write. But I do feel you, like on that little graph thing, I wanted my columns each day to match up perfectly with the 1667 words you're supposed to get. And it's like, it made me so angry if it was like flat and then it jumped, you know what I mean? Like, I hated it. But it's like, because I want it to look pretty. But and so I've learned that too. And sometimes I would, for a couple of years, like I tried so hard to make that perfectly pretty little 1600 words every day. And it's just like, why stress out about something like that? So I really do love your weekly goal idea. I might actually start doing that myself.
Awesome.
Because it gives you some leeway. But it's so funny how writing works, because it's a very mental thing. Because there are times, so normally I wake up and I'm like, all right, I can't wait to write this chapter. But every now and then I wake up in the morning and it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. And it's like, and I've learned to recognize those days. And they're rare, maybe once a month, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to do this. I can't do it. And I don't even have an excuse. I'm not sick. There's something wrong. It's just like, I don't want to write today. And I've learned that if I'm feeling that way, I just can't do it, because writing is such a creative part of us. It's like, it's really from our heart. It's, it's not like building a house. There's no, just simple scientific method of writing. You have to write from your heart. So if you're not feeling it, you're just not feeling it. And my best advice is don't beat yourself up over it. It is what it is. So, I like the idea of setting weekly goals. I do that myself with exercising. I try to like, okay, I'm going to exercise this many times a week. And then Sunday comes along and it's like, oh crap, I didn't exercise at all. But that's a whole different topic.
Yeah. Another one that I like to use is, I think it was Victoria Schwab was the one that kind of made it real popular. But giving yourself stickers for
I was about to say, are you going to talk about the stickers?
Yes, the star stickers. Oh my gosh, they're like all over the place in my
Yep.
house.
And I took it from her as well. Yeah, like she posted, gosh, that was years ago. And she would post that, and yeah, I totally stole it. I was like, this is a great idea. And I've been doing that for years. And one thing I really love is all my old planners. You can flip through each month and see all the stars.
Oh,
And
that's
just
awesome.
how much writing I've done. So yeah, give yourself sticker rewards, guys, because it makes you happy.
It seems like such a simple thing, and it's like, oh my God, I'm not 5. I don't need a sticker. But there is something about that. Like anytime I get a sticker on my planner, I'm like, yes, okay, I want another.
It's satisfying. It's just a little reward. And I also bought those the
washi tapes, yeah.
Yeah, so I recently got a ton of those. And so I kind of decorate. Yeah, it's like, there's a fine line between spending an hour decorating your planner and spending an hour working on your book. So I try to balance that time. But yeah, the stickers are a great way to stay motivated.
Absolutely.
And also needing to pay your bills, guys. Like maybe everyone should just quit their jobs, and in the absolute stress and terror of trying to pay your bills, you're going to write really fast, I promise you. Don't actually do that.
Don't do that.
There's very, very little money in publishing, unfortunately.
Yeah. Did you see that guy who was on Twitter, I think it was a week or two ago, there's like, life is short, quit your job, and just I was like, oh my God, people are listening to him. Don't do that.
Like maybe if you're a single person with no children that rely on you and
you can live with your parents.
Like a large trust fund, sure, go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, be smart, people. Because I quit. I think we're going, actually, this March 15th. I should write that down. March 15th, 4 years ago is when I quit my job. To write full time, and I actually walked out of there. I did it in a very glorious way because I hated my boss. So yeah, and then like on my drive home that day, she was calling and texting me, like begging me to come back to work. So anyway, that was fun.
Nice.
But yeah, so I have been a full-time writer for 4 years now, and because people are like, how do you do it? And it's like, well, first of all, my 5 published novels are not supporting me. Like, the money I earn from those basically goes right back into publishing or promotion and marketing. I support myself with freelance writing. And I saved up a year's worth of expenses before I quit my job, because it's such a scary environment, like trying to make your writing support you. And I even have a spouse that contributes half of the income. So it's like, it's not solely on me, and it's still terrifying. I still have to be earning money. So yeah, that guy on Twitter, and I feel like sometimes I wonder if those people do it just because they know they're going to get Twitter famous by everybody getting mad at them. Yeah, it's like, and even if you get one book deal, you're not going to get rich off of that. I mean, you might if you're like one of those 5 people on the planet that got super rich off of one book, but like you're probably not. Cassie said, so many people think because I got an agent that I'm just going to leave my job. Nope. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, even having an agent doesn't guarantee anything. And having one
guarantees you an agent for right now.
Yeah. And having, I would even like having a 3-book deal. And a lot of times it's so funny, like Elizabeth Gilbert, I believe, blogged about it, that even getting a 6-figure book deal does not mean you can quit your job for most people. Because and this is one thing a lot of people don't understand about publishing. So say you get, well, first of all, okay, so let's just say it's a 1 book, because most of the time a 6-figure deal is for like a series. But let's just say you got super lucky and you had 1 book with $100,000 advance. You can immediately cut that money in half, because 15% is going to your agent and 35% or so is going to taxes. And so you've got about 50 grand that you actually get to keep. But you're going to get half of that when you turn in your novel, and the other half when the novel's published a year and a half down the line. So you've got 50 grand cut in half, so you've got $25,000. to last you about a year and a half, so you get another $25,000. So that's not quit your job money. It might be
rolling in it.
Yeah, it might be pay off some debts money. But and a lot of times what people don't realize is a lot of the 6-figure advances are for series. So like if you get a $100,000 deal for a 3-book series, that's, again, cut it in half after taxes and your agent's commission. So that's actually about 50 grand. And they will divide that into 12. Trying to do math real quick. No, six, 3 books. So basically you get, so it gets divided into 3 for, a third for each of the books. But then that third gets divided in half, and you get that half for the signing of the first book, and then the other half when you turn in the first book, and then another half for the second book, and so on and so forth. So it's like you're not making a ton of money, really, and it's one thing that gets so frustrating to me, because when you talk to family members or friends or coworkers or just random people on the street, like my fence guy today, he was actually super nice. Luckily, he didn't bring up money. He did bring up all the book ideas he had that I should write. But it's like, you talk to random people, I'm like, oh, you've got a book at Barnes & Noble? You must be rich. Like, you live in a mansion? It's like, no. And someone will inevitably always bring up J.K. Rowling. It's like, no, I don't know her. No, I'm not making the same amount of money she is, or you would have heard about me by now if I was. But yeah, so there is like next to no money in publishing. So we do this because we love it. And we do it because we want people to read our stories. And that's my biggest thing is I'm so proud of Sasha, and I love that book so much. I want everybody to read it. So yeah, I mean, I spent just about, I haven't fully added it up, but I would wager that I spent my entire advance on marketing and promotion for that book. So
I believe it. You did a lot of push for that. I remember, like,
and everybody's like, you did such a good job, and I'm like, no, I did it because nobody knows about my book. I feel like I've tried so hard, and people still don't know about it. But it's just, it's brutal out there. It is a brutal, brutal world. But again, we do it because we love it. So, here I am stressing out over writing another book because I desperately want it to be read by people. But yeah, so
that's when it's good to have like a little picture by your desk of your why, why you're doing this, for, what your deep in your heart reason for why you're doing it.
That's a really good idea, because as I look around my desk, there's nothing that shows me my why. So it's like I have my planner, a bunch of Hello Kitty toys, some washi tape. I have a bowl of dog treats because sometimes my dog comes in here and annoys me, so I give her a treat. But when we do the Writers Uncut, these episodes, sometimes she'll be like, when I'm talking, she thinks I should be talking to her. So she wants attention, so I'll just sneakily give her some treats while we're recording, so like nobody knows that she's not being annoying. But yeah, I do not have anything around here that shows my wife, so that's going to be my mission for this week.
I'm going to do that too.
Something, yeah. And we can post about it on Instagram, and I will post a blurry, dark photo because I am not good at taking Instagram photos.
No.
Anyway, okay, so it's been 53 minutes, so we're going to have to wrap up because Instagram will shut us off after an hour. But thank you guys for listening and chatting, and thank you for being on here in place of Deirdre. This is so much fun.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Sometime soon we're going to have to get together so we can be in the same room, and then all 3 of us can be chatting. That'll be fun.
Absolutely.
And for everyone watching, you can find us on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search Writers Uncut, or go to Facebook and search Writers Uncut Group. And we post about things, chat about things, and, we have fun with our little group of followers. We do not have very many watchers, but I love all of you guys, so thank you.
And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Please subscribe. But okay, well, I will see you later. Get to work, get some words in. All right, bye, guys.
Bye.